generally don't get involved in this. And this is something that to me became a personal attack, or became what's good for the goose is not good for the gander, I guess, because some organizations do whatever they want on your fields without asking permission. And most people that know me know that I'll call and I'll ask questions, I get things inspected, we pay the fees. We don't build anything on those parks on that property until we get approval. I've never done anything, and I never will without getting approval, or at least getting an opinion from somebody in the city. Can't say that for the other organizations. So in this case here, we were misrepresented. The people came up and the flyer, I will argue that till the day I die. That flyer was not distributed. And if you pull that flyer, I hope all of you still have a copy of it, and it does not have a BBW on there, then that flyer was a proof that was somehow gotten to you and was not distributed to anybody. I'll stand by that. And we did not try to stub our nose at anybody. We tried doing the right thing. And we always vote for the kids at that ballpark. That's the bottom line.
Madam Chair. One other thing that I wouldn't mind hearing Mr. Cloutier's opinion on. My biggest beef was, when you say the legislative body doesn't get involved, my biggest beef was not just from council's perspective, but as a lifelong Little League volunteer, the thought process that goes into whether it's 17, 18 or beyond, how what has always been a Little League park can be turned over to a different nonprofit. And I think, I don't have the council meeting verbatim. My point was that you're a volunteer, that every league has lots of volunteers, every league has presidents. I volunteer with other nonprofits, Tim in the museum here, but at some point in time when that volunteer doesn't like what's going on, he or she can choose to leave. But the problem I had was a choice that seemed to be made that Little League Park is going to be handed over as a nonprofit to a different nonprofit. And I strongly felt and still believe, and I'm looking you in the eye asking you to respond to it, it's not yours to give away.
Does Little League Baseball own that park? Does Little League Baseball own that park? Who owns the park?
Where?
The city owns that park. Exactly.
The city owns that
So
park.
who should I ask permission to then give you
Hang on.
those fields?
Let me finish. It sounds like you don't want to answer the question, that as a volunteer, you believe it's yours to give to someone else.
Not at all. Not at all. And that's
Why not just do this somewhere else? Why not go to a different park and start your own organization and do what your volunteers did, the presidents that came before you, 50 years, 60 years, whether it's your league, south, east, anywhere else, they all started from scratch. Why are you going to take something that's sitting there and turn it into your own? Go somewhere else and start your own league.
We have 4 Little Leagues in Taylor. We wanted to offer an option. That's the bottom line. We thought it was a good, viable option.
Did you talk to all the leagues and say, since this is such a great idea for Taylor, let's collectively do this? Or was this something that you were trying to run on your own?
Do they contact me when they make a decision at their part? No. So you're splitting
So
hairs.
that's a no. No.
Oh, you are. You
I'll
have
stand-
a personal relationship with one of the organizations, very deep, and I understand that, and I support that organization.
He's fine.
I'm going to call this, because we've exceeded the 3 minutes, and this is not going to be settled here tonight.
Like I said, this is something that needed to be said. So
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I just want to remind the audience too, if they do have comments, to make them here at the podium. It's hard to hear up here when a lot of people are speaking at once. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mark Ledbetter, currently a resident here in Taylor. If I ended up repeating anything that the president said from Taylor Central, I apologize. I would like to thank you first and foremost for the opportunity to speak on the TNCB transition recommendation. I come before the City Council today as a resident, a father, and a board member of Taylor Central Little League. I prepared a speech in order to organize my thoughts and maximize the short time allowed. For 5 years now, I have been witness to the exemplary leadership of TNC and President Doug Cloutier. The partnership with Sam Abrams and Play Baseball Detroit, the incredible renovations, yearly success of Central Championships, the continuous growth of registration as a result of their retention, not only in baseball but in softball, exemplify that leadership. As I've briefly seen in the previous council meeting, this political board has involved itself in the dictation of a non-profit youth sports organization. At the request of an obviously biased champion of the league organization, this city has insisted that Taylor Central not pursue the endeavor based upon, quote, ego, the ability to write our own rules, and to destroy the Little League, end quote. I can attest to the fact that much of what was said regarding these motives were outright lies. In an article by the Wall Street Journal, youth baseball has seen a 33% decline in participation since 2000. I feel this is due to the lack of options. Having Babe Ruth gives parents the option to find the best opportunity for the child without the cost or burden of travel ball and holds those in charge of these organizations accountable for their actions. Free market not only ensures the best opportunities for the Taylor residents, but also brings in commerce and local business. Since Little League in Taylor is not, nor has it been since I have been involved, exclusive to Taylor residents, the previous argument made by the District 5 champion during the last meeting regarding the future demographic of Babe Ruth participants is greatly exaggerated. Other organizations such as the Taylor Soccer Club, which my daughter is also a member, and hockey teams which play out of the sportsplex are not exclusive to Taylor residents, and therefore neither should the youth sport of baseball and softball. I implore you to do the right thing and allow this transition to go forward. Babe Ruth has been a nearly 2-year plan by the TNC board as a result of direct bias, mistreatment, and harassment. The greatest of all is the District 5 president allowing 4 children to participate in a tournament only hours before the first game, and after all had already been confirmed through the process established by this very president. Please think of the parents and children that have no other option when they endure a bad experience in one of the 4 leagues. Most either leave for travel ball if they're good enough, or quit altogether. Our fall ball program is run without the Little League name and with great satisfaction and success for those that participate. This is exactly how Taylor North Central Baseball Softball Association will conduct youth sports under the Babe Ruth organization. Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Councilman
Can I
Bashir.
get a clarification? Is your comments here to implore us to allow you to proceed with Babe Ruth? Because I thought I just heard your president say it's not going to happen in
I agree.
2017.
This is me coming from a father's perspective, okay? I've been with Taylor North Central for 5 years, and my experience has been nothing but great until we get to those tournaments. And the reason for that is because we got away from playing the other Taylor leagues. My first year coaching at Taylor North Central, in a game against a Taylor Northwest team, was an instant confrontation where that coach was ready to throw down, ready to throw fists. Okay, whatever, maybe it was just that one person. Same exact instance later in that year. Another coach wanting to throw fists. Happened again in the All-Stars. This same exact coach that happened once before in the regular season. So what do? We distance ourselves from those leagues. Now, personally, I think that hurts our city because Taylor has, by far, the best talent in the downriver area. But what we do is we separate the 4 leagues. So when we go to these tournaments, we go with 1/4 the potential that we have to win. And our junior softball, now mind you, I'm obviously a champion of softball because my daughter plays softball. But the junior softball team went with 1/4 the talent and made it 4th place. Could you imagine how much farther they would have went? You know, we all care about the Junior League World Series in baseball, but I'll tell you what, softball is a hugely growing popular sport. But what we're doing is we're saying it's not important. We can't unite these leagues because for whatever reason, there's too much bickering. What needs to happen is, at least, if Little League wants to remain competitive, open the boundaries. Why should it be, if you live in this boundary, you have to play in this league? That's wrong.
Madam Chair, one of the key things you're talking about, and I've been through this game. My son luckily was a gifted athlete, and he played Little League his whole career and ended up getting a college scholarship as a pitcher. But you're bringing up all-stars, and that's Little League's black eye, okay? Because everybody gets so competitive at all-star time. And I was an all-star coach, so trust me. I know what you're saying. But the biggest issue is you're saying it's everybody else but you guys. And I disagree with that. And it's not just Taylor groups. I mean, there is definitely competition. It's like Truman and Kennedy. You know, there's competition between the two. There's rivalries and all that stuff. But the biggest issue is these coaches, and I will even look them all in the eye, these presidents start talking all-stars January 1st. They have their all-star teams picked. Billy's going to do this, and not even know what kind of talent they got that year. I mean, I've had kids that started off great and fell, and we had to bring new kids on. And we had other kids that weren't that good, and when they got 10, they were studs. But the problem is the competition between the grown-ups. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen it. And you got the kids sitting out there looking like, what in the heck is going on here? And it's just like the sign says, your kid's not gonna be Derek Jeter. Everybody gets so wound up in the college scholarship, my kid's gonna be this, my kid's gonna be this, and it's all amongst the grown-ups that sit there and say, well, my kid's better, and you're cheating, and no, you're cheating, and you did this, you did this. And it gets ridiculous. That's the problem. But you know what? It happens in travel too. No matter where you go, parents have ruined the game. It's not the kids, it's the grown-ups. And I'll look anybody in the eye and tell them that face to face, because I see them. And I can't say I never acted like an idiot. You know, as embarrassed I am to say that, I probably got stupid once or twice. But it's the competition factor, and everybody wants to look out for their teams, because I had kids from 6 all the way to 16. They're my kids. I love them to death. And I still see them, and I hug them and kiss them. I love them. You know, but that's the problem. Little League has lost its vision. Little League is that opportunity for that kid that isn't that good to go out there and hopefully that coach. That was my project. I like the kids that weren't that good, because it was my goal to make them catch a fly ball at the end of the season, to make contact with the ball. You know, I'm kind of going on my own rant here, but that's part of the problem. And my son went to travel, and to be honest with you, when he was 16, he went to travel. He played Little League all the way through. He didn't play Big League. I missed the kids that couldn't catch the ball. They were good. He was on a great team. And it made me want to go back and coach Little League. And me and Councilman Lazar have talked about taking the team eventually and going back because we miss it. But what everybody's talking about here is the whole intertwining of the competition factor of Taylor Little Leagues. And all I was basically saying is, look, there was a recommendation made, and it looked like it wasn't going to be followed. Unfortunately, like I said, I may have jumped to conclusions on that. And all we wanted to do was make sure that was followed, because that way everybody would have known what was going on and all that stuff. Yeah, people said some bad things. We can't dictate what other people say, you know. But in the same sense, there's also some validity to the fact that you guys are saying, we want to do away with Taylor North Central Little League in Taylor. And that's, you know, that's like tearing down Taylor Center, but it's still there. And one of the other discrepancies is there has to be some sort of transition, because not everybody in your league might support that. And we have to sit back and kind of judge how that's all going to work out. And I think a year was a good time to do it. And one of, you know, because I was at the one meeting, and all the other little leagues said, look, if that's what you guys want to do, go ahead and do it. And now as a councilman, I also sit back and say, well, if you guys are going to end Taylor North Central Little League, what gives you exclusive rights to those fields? And that was another, you know, that's an argument for another time. But in the same sense, as a group, you know, that would be like us saying, well, you know, we're the council, but we want another building. What happens to this? You know, we want to change everything, but we get it. And it doesn't work that way sometimes. So I think a year gives it time. I know the mayor is talking about getting with the Little Leagues, which really needs to happen, because like I said in that meeting, I'll look all those presidents in the eye. Those are Taylor City parks. And we and the mayor can dictate what goes on and what doesn't go on in those parks. We have that right. And if people want to argue with it, I'll be more than glad to argue with it.
Okay.
And those have been
It's still going to be youth baseball. That's the thing. But now the kids, the parents have an option. If you have a bad experience at Little League, you're not discouraged from quitting. You have another option.
But how many times is the bad experience? My kid didn't make All-Star, so I'm going to another league.
They have that option.
And that's
How often is it the bad experience when you go to Home Depot and you didn't get the price you wanted, and you throw down like, forget it, I'm going to Lowe's. You have that option.
right?
Why shouldn't they? If
You
they want
have
to
that
flip-flop
option,
every
yeah.
single year, back and forth, but I promise you, there may be a couple here and there, but pretty much everybody I've ever worked with in softball, I can't, you know, now mind you, baseball's great stuff, but you know what? My idea is softball, and that's what I focus on.
I think you've had well in excess of 3 minutes.
I let the councilman talk, so.
I'm sorry, yeah, I probably took that.
Maybe.
Madam Chair.